Hello and welcome to another episode of Wannabe Entrepreneur. Today I want to speak about the top 5 podcasts in the entrepreneur and business and startup world. I absolutely love them. They are great. I listen to them almost every day and I've learned so much from each of these podcasts that I cannot even start. They're really, really great. And first of all of these will be in the description of this episode. I will create a post on the platform Buy Me a Coffee, but it's absolutely public. Everyone can read it. So don't stop. Don't worry about writing them down. There'll be everything in the description. Also, they are great podcasts, but Wannabe Entrepreneur is better. So I'm joking. They are really amazing. Please keep on listening to mine. Listen to those, but keep on listening to Wannabe Entrepreneur. Okay, let's start with the number 5. It's called The Pitch and it's from Gamelet Media. A lot of them you'll notice they are from Gamelet Media, which is a podcast company. They are amazing. They make great content. And The Pitch is basically a Shark Tank version podcast. There is a host, kind of a narrator, and then there's always someone pitching their startup and 3 or 4 judges that basically they do exactly what you see in Shark Tank. They listen to the pitch and then they make questions and then in the end they decide if they want to invest or not. What is great about this is that the narrator interviews both the person, the entrepreneur that is pitching, and the judges, and we can kind of see what they were thinking. And also after 1 or 2 or a month or something, he goes back and interviews the entrepreneur and makes questions about what did you think about the pitch and if actually the investors went through with the investment or not. It's a great way if you want to build your startup because you will first of all learn how to pitch, what questions most investors make, which is really amazing, and also it's very entertaining. There's so many crazy amazing ideas, so I totally recommend. Number 4 is called Without Fail. It's again from Gamelet Media, and the host is actually the CEO of Gamelet Media. His name is Alex Bloomberg. And he, in this podcast, interviews a lot of personalities from multiple walks of life. You have filmmakers, you have athletes, you have tech CEOs. And it normally talks about failures and challenges that these people had throughout their careers. And they are so motivating. And it's such a source of knowledge. I've learned so much from them. I mean, it's great to see there were people actually that they only found success in their 50s, in their late 40s. So it's great to see how they struggled for so many years and how they still kept their passion and they kept on working on it. And it's really absolutely amazing. He is one of the top hosts, I think, in the podcast world. And the way the interview is conducted and edited, it's simply amazing. So I totally recommend. Number 3, Masters of Scale. This one is from Reid Hoffman. He is the co-founder of LinkedIn, and he also has, I think, his own VC funding. He invests on a bunch of companies, and it's such a great podcast. He interviews a lot of founders of normally big companies. There's like Starbucks, there's Airbnb, and normally it's all around one topic. So let's say about how to scale. That's why it's called Masters of Scale. But normally speaks about how to scale hiring or manage problems in your early phases. There's a lot of great topics. It's normally very interesting and great source of knowledge. You will learn a lot about startups. So I totally recommend listening to Masters of Scale. Number 2, How to Start a Startup from Y Combinator. Y Combinator is an accelerator program in the US, in Silicon Valley, and it's one of the top ones. There are many. Airbnb came from there. Many other companies came from this accelerator. Actually, when I was speaking with Irish in my interview with her about Renan, her startup, she said that they were accepted to one of the top accelerators. And I asked her, was it YC, Y Combinator? And she said she couldn't say, but if it is, man, that's so amazing. So they have their own podcast where they interview also a lot of startup founders, but this one is called How to Start a Startup, which is basically a course. It's a free course, and each episode is one lesson with a different teacher about a specific topic in the entrepreneurship and startup world. They speak about how to come up with ideas, how to find your target users, how to reach out to investors. I would definitely pay for this, but this is actually free, and I've learned so much. A lot of things that I've learned from product building and startup building was from these lessons. So I totally recommend that you go and listen to them. They are actually a class, so there's a teacher and there's actually an audience, and it's being recorded, but sometimes you can hear the audience making questions. So really worth it to listen. And number one, the first one, the most amazing podcast is Startup. It's from Gamelet. And the first season is the story on how Alex Blumberg, the founder of Gamelet, founded the company and scaled it. It's very similar to what I'm doing, but with extreme high quality. And he recorded all the highlights of building a company, speaking with investors, getting a co-founder, speaking with his wife, getting the first employees. So it's amazing to see, and it's so well made that you both will learn a lot, but it's like watching a TV series. It's so amazing. And then the second, third season, they actually start interviewing other entrepreneurs, and they are amazing episodes that I cannot even describe. It's literally reading an amazing book or watching an amazing series. You definitely have to listen to them, and I totally recommend. I've learned so much, and I also was very much entertained by Startup. It's one of these podcasts that when I was riding in my bicycle and getting to Trivago, and I would just ride very slow just to finish the episode. That's how good it is. So Startup for sure. Yeah, and this was the top 5 podcasts that I want to recommend. And there's 2 extra ones that I didn't come up to the top 5 list, but I still want to speak about quickly. First one is called Socialette and is from a marketing expert. Her name is Steph Taylor. Actually, I'll be interviewing her in this podcast. And basically, she gives small tips on how to market your product, what are the best tools, how to market your product, the branding, how to make branding. There's so many interesting tips that I highly recommend. And the other one is called the Side Hustle Show, which is very similar to my podcast, but only interviews either side hustles, like other entrepreneurs, and asks how they were able to scale their projects to businesses, how much money they're making, and so on. Really worth to listen. So, yeah, I hope this was useful for you. Again, I will share a post on the description of this episode where I write down all these podcasts. And you probably are thinking, okay, you forgot about this one. This one is also great. Amazing. Just go there and write in the comments. I want to read your suggestions and listen to those podcasts. So, this was another Wannabe Entrepreneur. See you tomorrow.